peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Today in Africa, we need prayer. I want to thank all of you for joining in this conference so that we make a prayer. We prepare our people from the pandemic. I want to make it clear that this is the starting point for people to start preparing and talking about what will happen when the pandemic goes. We might not all be there. Few people might be there. Many people might remain. But the difficulties of this pandemic will not go away. 2011, 2012, when the United Nations Security Council wanted a vote to go and bombard Libya, one of the countries in Africa that put up its hand to bombard Libya, do you know the country? South Africa. Who was the president? Zuma. What is happening to Zuma today? What is happening to Zuma today? That is the Africa we are looking at. Can that Africa prepare beds for people? People now want Zuma in jail. But Muhammad Gaddafi, who defended Africa, is gone. They bombarded him. They destroyed his country. A country that was giving people food. By now, if Muhammad Gaddafi had been there, he would have flown tents and medicine to the rest of Africa. How many African countries are sharing the little that they have? My conference wants to address those type of problems. Are we united? Is the AU ready to help us to move and create an environment where we share the little? The point I'm trying to make is 66 years after independence, are we ready? Can we make one medicine called Africa medicine? People are fighting. People are fighting over the medicine, a donation. I'm shocked, the audience, the conference, this summit, wherever you are, people are fighting over donations. A donation given by European countries. Some ministers are fighting over it. Some government officials are selling it. Will Africa have a solution?
Africans sleep too much. I have never believed in independence. Therefore, this unfortunate phenomenon where people have vaccines and they say, no, we must first vaccinate our own people. That's unfortunate, but I like it because it works you Africans. Africans are a disgrace to ourselves. Why do you have to depend on the outside for everything? Life, you depend on the outside. Why? This is a big shame for Africa. You people, how can you sit here as if you are imbeciles? That we are dying, we are waiting for foreigners to come and save us. We shall die until the foreigners come to save us. What sort of people are you? And you are trained. It's in the orientation. It is a slave mentality. This selfishness in the world is bad, but it's good. I like it because it wakes up Africans. It wakes up Africans. It's a shame that the whole of the African continent is just asleep, waiting to be saved by others. If they don't save us, we shall die, like happened with the slave trade. How can this be? Slave trade went on here for 400 years. These idiot chiefs were here just putting on monkey skins and so on, looking like clowns. So therefore, although this is bad, but me, there is a good thing in it, to wake up the Africans.
You will agree with me that the so-called Francophone countries in Africa, whether they like it or not, ordinarily take a cue from Paris. And their reaction to matters economics, matters politics, is very Francocentric, if you permit me. There is also a sense in which those countries which were formerly colonized by the United Kingdom, despite their denial to the contrary, also have a very Anglo-centric response to issues economics and issues political, particularly when they operate under the aegis of the Commonwealth of Nations, which, as you know, pretend to be a community of equal states, but is essentially a backwater attempt by the United Kingdom to retain political tutelage over her colonies.
It is ridiculous and it is against the laws of nature that we can have somebody sitting pretty who takes home more money than the credible entrepreneur who is doing actual production of goods and services.
We always say it as it is. It is only in this country that when a thief is arrested, you hear elders from their tribe saying, "He is our son and he is our thief."
If you are deviant
Yes.
and I call you leader,
Yes.
probably you are already a leader, but you are leading in the wrong direction.
We want to see the role of the youth
Yeah.
in the security,
Yes.
governance,
Yes.
and development.
The youth that I meet and work with here, you know, we call them the millennials and X's and Y's, this and that. They don't necessarily want to live like their fathers and grandfathers,
Yes.
do business like their fathers and grandfathers. They're more independent, they're better educated, and they're the ones that are making everything move in this region.
We look at the issues, we talk about issues that impact people's lives in Africa. The African peoples themselves continue to cheer bad leaders, and because they cheer them on, they continue to be misled.
Let me ask you, doctor, would you rather be somebody who does not enjoy so much freedom but you are rich?
Yes.
Or you'd rather be poor who you are actually imprisoned by the poverty itself?
My goal is not to come here and say, I want the majority ownership, I want to own this, I want to own that, I want to do this. My goal is we all make money and we're all happy, and I help build a big business here.
Punchline is for Africa, with Africa, from Africa.
Very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us. This is the People's Court, and on today's show we are going to bring you an exclusive live coverage from Kiambaa, where today the people of Kiambaa will have an opportunity to elect their representative there after the demise of their MCA. So it is a tight battle between the big wigs that will be the UDA and Jubilee Party, among other parties that want to, take a slot there. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and to help me out in this conversation this morning, we have Jevan Karanja from Nanyuki. Jevan, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning to you, Miriam, and good morning to our viewers and our fellow panelists, Tawish and the rest. Always a pleasure showing up on Punchline Africa Television. Indeed, it's a very great day for the people of Kiambaa, and we hope they'll make the right decision. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And of course, we do have our correspondent right from Kiambaa who will be bringing us the latest. Samuel Tawish, a very good morning to you.
A very well good morning to you, Miriam Ogutu, my colleague, panelist Javan Karanja, and of course everyone who's watching this program this morning. Indeed, I'm coming to you live from Kiambaa in Kiambu County, and specifically I'm here at Karuri High School, which is going to be the main tallying center for this particular by-election. And remember, of course, there are also polling stations, and as you can see, of course, as I'm showing on the video, that's a line of a queue, of course, of voters already who gearing up to cast their ballot just in a few. Of course, we came here as early as 6. We are here. Already the voters were streaming in just to make sure that they can, or their voice can as well be heard or reflected, of course, through this particular exercise, Miriam. And we'll be watching and, of course, seeing how this is going to unfold. And, of course, ultimately, when the voting exercise comes to an end and consequently the tallying of votes begins, that will be around 5, if I'm not wrong, unless something changes in between. Miriam, over to you.
Thank you so much. So what time did the tallying center open?
Well, the tallying center has been open.
The polling station right now. The tallying is later, but the polling station, sorry.
Yeah, the polling stations here, of course, were open as early as 5 in the morning, but of course, voters began casting their ballot as early as 6 in the morning. Of course, you've seen a considerable number of voters already making their way here and just lining up to make sure that they can cast their ballot. The number is not that so big, understanding that in most by-elections, Miriam, normally we do not have a big number of people turning out to actually take part in this particular exercise, and also looking into the perspective that perhaps being a weekday, most people could have gone maybe to their workplaces, and that essentially means that we may not, after all, get a big number of people turning up to vote. But finally, when the tallying begins, the IBC officials will be in a position really to tell us the turnout of this particular voting exercise today, Miriam.
All right, thank you so much. That is Samuel Tawish. He is coming to us from one of the polling stations, which he also says will act as the tallying center later on. And Kiambaa is having a by-election today, and so we will be linking with you very, very soon. Just a look around security. How is the security over there?
Very well, thank you so much, Miriam. I mean, the security apparatus are not taking anything to chance, and just because maybe I may not necessarily be in a position to pan and show you through, but as you can see, of course, those are some of the officers who are here, and there's a contingent of officers, of course, who have been mobilized to come and ensure that there's going to be peaceful voting in this particular place, and ensure that there's no kind of disruptions or chaotic things that are going to be witnessed. So generally, Miriam, I will say there's actually a reinforced kind of security just to ensure that this exercise goes on smoothly, Miriam.
All right. And yesterday, we saw the IEBC speaking and, spelling out some regulations and the things that they expect the people and the parties to adhere to today. And they spoke especially on the issue of the super agents, where we've seen key political figures going into these by-elections from different parts of the country, and a lot of times have caused chaos. And yesterday they said in today's by-election in Kiambaa, there will be nothing like the super agents. Have you seen any notable political figures who are not even from Kiambu who have perhaps come there to be part of the voting today?
Miriam, if you had a chance, of course, there's news going around that, of course, one of the members of parliament, that is Majority Leader Amos Kimunya, has really been roughed up by supporters, supposedly of UDA, in one of the polling stations here in Kiambaa constituency, because again, IEBC issued a circular notice yesterday that they won't be issuing, of course, accreditation to politicians or anyone as super agents. And I think it is one of those aspects really which have been causing chaos and perhaps causing havoc whenever we have such kind of by-elections, like we witnessed last time in Matungu, in Kabuchai, and other places recently when we had the by-election. So I think IBC is just putting measures in place to make sure that such incidences do not reoccur. And one of the measures is actually to ensure that the politicians do not get such kind of accreditations, or do not get such leeways actually to come along and maybe cause mayhem during this exercise, because mainly you understand when politicians come around in such kind of places and when they become a soup or they become agents, there are chances that they will come along with their supporters, and that in itself, of course, makes it difficult for IEBC and even those voters really to take part in this exercise in a peaceful manner, Miriam. So essentially, I would say IEBC has put a raft of measures, and that in itself really guarantees that this election is going to move on smoothly without any interruption. So, save for what we have had or rather seen of Amos Kimunya in that particular polling stations, there is not so much of any other incidences that have been reported so far. Miriam, back to you.
All right, and outside of that, there are no any incidents that you've heard of maybe since morning?
Really, not any. But in case we get hand of it, of course, we'll get to update our viewers as and when we get such information, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much. That is Samuel Tawish, our correspondent today, who will be bringing us up to date with the latest during that Kiambaa by-elections. You've seen Kenyans from that area woke up early and already queuing. Want to cast their ballot. So let's just turn our attention right now to the headlines, and then we shall be checking in with Samuel Tawish just in a little bit later. The Standard newspaper this morning, inside a ruthless gang murdering children. Two suspects lead separate teams of investigators 300 kilometers apart in Nairobi and Uasin Gishu to spots where up to 24 children could have been brutally killed and blow lead of a kidnap and killer ring. And on the side there, DNA Obado is father of Sharon's baby. And then Battle Royale as Uhuru DP lock horns in Kiambaa, and that will form our main topic of conversation today. And on the Daily Nation, the main headline, How I Killed 13 Children, Man's shock, confession, school fees, burden parents to cough up cash for third term in 7 months. And then who's king of the mountain, Uhuru Ruto, face off in Kiambaa polls, fresh storm as IEBC revisits referendum. And then unborn child was 99.9% Obado's. And on the Star newspaper, showdown as Ruto faces Uhuru at home. The outcome will be a major statement on the Kenyatta versus Ruto battle. So that is where we will start our conversation this morning. Javan Karanja, the headline and the Star newspaper, showdown as Ruto faces Uhuru at home. The outcome will be a major statement on the Kenyatta versus Ruto succession battle. What do you make of that headline?
Thank you very much, Miriam. Indeed, it is a very big day for the people of Kenya, and especially as we head to 2022 succession politics. The by-election in Kiambaa will set the pace, maybe on what we might anticipate as we head to the general election that is a few months from now. One thing is that Mount Kenya region is a backyard of President Uhuru Kenyatta, and by 2017 they came here with the deputy president, and they were voted overwhelmingly from these areas. Therefore, Miriam, when you see this area, and you know with the vast vote that we have in this region, there must be a tussle, especially from the deputy president, who is eyeing the presidency, and we know for a fact that President Uhuru Kenyatta is retiring. Therefore, he is not considering any form of elective position as we head to 2022 general election. Therefore, this one is big because this is where the deputy president, this is a litmus test, maybe to show whether the deputy president can really get 100% transition of votes from what President Uhuru Kenyatta got in 2017, because we know President Uhuru Kenyatta gained around 95 to 94% of all the votes casted in Mount Kenya region. Therefore, it's a tough race because the deputy president has campaigned in Mount Kenya region, campaigning day in and day out to ensure that he gets this transition so that maybe he can up his chances of becoming the president. Therefore, this is a test tube on what we might expect. But Miriam, from the look of things, this is a tight race because we know there are people who support the deputy president, yes, and there are those people who still feel like President Uhuru Kenyatta is still the king, the regional kingpin in Mount Kenya region. He's still the president. He's still the party leader of Jubilee, and he needs to be respected. Therefore, we expect a lot, and this will set the pace. And I expect that if the deputy president will not get that huge margin, maybe winning by 80%, the UDA candidate winning by 80 or 90%, Miriam, it will be a tough race as we head to 2022 general election. Because for me, and from the political point of view, Deputy President needs around 99% of all the total vote casted in Mount Kenya region on his side. But if we not get that, and the NASA coalition happens to come together and camouflage together and form a coalition or remain as it was in 2017, and with the blessings of President Uhuru Kenyatta, I see him having a tough terrain as he seeks to be the fifth president of this country. Okay. Therefore, and finally, the people of Kiambaa, we wish them all the best that they make their choices, because President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President are now running. Them go for the right candidate who will transform their region, who will better the economy, who will better the social cohesion, the political stability, and who will ensure that the CDF kitty is well utilized. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Javan Karanja. Now, this story, let's see how the Star newspaper has captured it on page 4. Today's much anticipated Kiambaa poll is not your ordinary by-election. It is a big political fight between President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee and his deputy William Ruto's UDA. While some may say the by-election results do not signify what the political future holds for the two, the outcome will be a major statement on the Kenyatta versus Ruto succession duel. Jubilee has pulled out every stop to retain the seat that was held by Uhuru's relative Paul Koinange, but UDA is using the by-election to make a point that its popularity is growing in Kenyatta's Kiambaa home county and by extension central region. Last month's by-election in Bonchari and Chuja constituencies, as well as in Ruri ward, saw the ruling Jubilee Party suffer defeats in all three. Two of the upsets happened in areas considered to be its strongholds. The Kiambaa by-election appears to be a two-horse race between Jubilee's Kariri Njama and UDA's John Njuguna Wanjiku. It is interesting that Star would say that, because we know so far in Kiambaa, we do have 8 candidates. And let me just run down their names. The first one is Willie Kamau, who is an independent, David Mugos, an independent, Evans Wainaina, People's Party of Kenya, Isaac Mushugi, Federal Party of Kenya, Lucy Wanjiru, Party of National Unity, Richard Njoroge, the New Democrats, Kariri Njama, who is the Jubilee Party, and John Wanjiku for United Democratic Alliance. Why is it only that the spotlight is on these two? Javan.
Yeah, thank you very much, Miriam, because these are the two horses that we have in the by-election, and I think it's because Jubilee Party, being the party of the president and led by President Uhuru Kenyatta, this is a popular party. We know the numbers that they got. Even the late MP was from Jubilee Party, the late Honorable Paul Koinange. Therefore, the Jubilee Party still has roots in Kiambaa. And when you look at the UDA party, this is a party that has the blessings of the deputy president. And the deputy president has declared when he was in West Pokot that UDA is his party. And he reiterated that on Radio Jambo in the course of this week, that he is still in UDA party, and he is insisting that that is the party that he will use to run for presidency in 2022. And he says this is a party for hustlers and the rest are privileged in the society. Therefore, I think that is some of the reasons why we see Kareri Njama of Jubilee and John Wanjiku of UDA being the two main contestants in this by-election. Number 2, we have Kariri Njama, who has been in this political terrain for years. In 2017, he ran for the same office, but unfortunately, he didn't clinch the victory. But he conceded defeat and supported his nemesis, then turned political ally, Paul Koinange. And they had a very cordial relationship in terms of working and in terms of their personal relationship. We saw them in various events together. Therefore, I think him being a politician for that long and trying his luck in the parliamentary seat in Kiambaa puts him in a better position to be a bigger man in this race. And I think that is why all eyes are shifting towards the Jubilee candidate and the UDA candidate, Honorable John Wanjiku. And I think that is the reasons why I feel these are the two main contestants, because we know UDA And with all this arithmetic, we saw what happened in Juja. Therefore, I think with these political parties, especially that of the UDA and the Jubilee Party coming together, are reasons, not really coming together, but positioning themselves and eyeing this elective position, are reasons why we feel them being the big contestants as we head to 2022 general election. But Miriam, things might change, because in politics, one day might turn events that might have taken 100 days or 1,000 days. Therefore, as we go to 2022, Miriam, we might not even have the UDA running for being a dominant party. We might not have Jubilee, but we might have coalitions that maybe we remain with Jubilee and UDA in their part. I think, to me, that is my take.
All right. Thank you so much. Samuel Tawish, if you can hear me, good morning. All right. Samuel Tawish is trying to get us more information from there, but we are also joined by Douglas Kirimi. Douglas, a very good morning to you, and nice to have you on the show.
A very good morning to you, Miriam Ogutu, and also to my friend Jevan Karanja or Asasina Tawish, and also to our viewers across the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where they are getting our broadcast from. Thank you for having me on the show.
All right, nice to have you, Douglas. Now, we know that there are about 8 candidates who are trying to replace the former MCA in Kiambaa. And there's also another by-election in Muguga where they have 4 candidates. And I asked Jevan earlier, why is it that the spotlight is just on the 2 candidates for Jubilee and for UD, and yet there are 8 candidates there? Why do you think that is so?
Miriam, thank you for that question. And also, we need to get it very clearly. As long as the battle was drawn to be a battle between UDA and also President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Party, the other candidates stand no chance in Kiambaa. It is an election where we are having 2 parties that don't see eye to eye, 2 antagonists that don't want to show it in public. That is the president's people and also the UDA supporters and also the allies of the deputy president. People who have been insulting the president, people who have gone out of their way, Miriam, to make sure that they do everything in their power to make sure that the president's base is has got a UDA candidate to prove a point. The UDA election and also Jubilee candidates in Kiambaa, they are not about the issues that affect the people of Kiambaa, except for Karere Jama, who has been the person on the ground talking to the people, doing projects with women. Everything else in Kiambaa, Miriam, is a show of might between 2 big parties. And I've said before, these by-elections in this country, Miriam, that have been done in the recent past and also today, it is a show of might between 2 mighty parties and also one big party and also one assumed national party, a party that has always been discrediting the president, filled with the people that hate the president because of their own political reasons. But Miriam, when you look at it, there are other candidates in Kiambaa who stand a chance to become the next MP for Kiambaa. But that has been overlooked completely, including a candidate vying by UDA, others supporting the Jubilee candidate. It has been overlooked, Miriam. And in governance, when you have such political decisions, odd political decisions, crowding proper decision-making and also crowding proper interrogation of issues by the voter, and also the way that these candidates have been presented, it is as if one is backed by the president who wants to prove a point to his deputy in his own backyard, and also a deputy who is out to embarrass the president in his own backyard, Miriam. When you look at it properly and analyze without any bias, this is not an election about the people of Kiambaa. It's not about the building of schools. It's not about revamping the security infrastructure. By the way, where the former MP was the National Assembly Committee on Security, powerful chairman on security. And when you look at it, Miriam, it's been an issue between UDA and Jubilee. Who is mighty? Who is going to take the day? And also about the 2022 general elections. The voter in Kiambaa has been forgotten in this by-election, Miriam, when the voter in Kiambaa has been forgotten completely. And also, Miriam, when you look at it properly, we have no contest here over issues, over politics, issue-based politics, development, and also governance. So now the people of Kiambaa the way the people of Kiambaa should be getting their own leaders, and also all the people of Kiambaa should be governed. It's about UDA and about Jubilee. So Miriam, the other parties and their candidates have been forgotten between the battle for UDA and the Jubilee. The way people of Kiambaa should be governed, the way resources should be distributed, the way education should be supported, the way security should be revamped in Kiambaa constituency, to make sure that the voter in Kiambaa is in safe hands, and leadership that works for the people. A participatory leadership in Kiambaa has been overlooked by two factors, Miriam. Jubilee Party of Kenya trying to kill UDA dominance in the region, and also UDA trying to snatch regional dominance from the Jubilee Party of President Uhuru Kenyatta, Miriam. But I hope the people of Kiambaa are going to look properly and they see a candidate that is going, between the two candidates, a candidate that is going to take their ward, their constituency forward, and a candidate that is going to look properly into governance of Kiambaa, development of Kiambaa, and the forward going of the people of Kiambaa. From here, they need to decide on the way they shall go. Is it UDA that wants to show dominance in the region, or a candidate that wants to take their constituency forward and grow communities in Kiambaa, grow the ones in Kiambaa, educate our children, and revamp security that is under the domain of the MP?
Okay. Thank you so much. As we wait for Tawish there to reconnect with us and tell us what's really happening there, the latest. Jevan, Tawish earlier on mentioned the issue of, is it Amos Kimunya who was wrapped up? I think he'd gone to another polling station. But IBC yesterday was very clear. If you do not come from that area, if you're not a voter in that area, you have no business to being there, because they're trying to contain and, of course, security and all that. Why is it difficult sometimes for our politicians to understand some of these things?
Yeah, Miriam, I think the reason why is because we, the IBC, in the previous by-elections, allowed these politicians to be super agents in various polling centers. And I think maybe these politicians had in mind that this would be the trend in Kiambaa. But unfortunately, things didn't turn in their favor, because IBC has already cancelled that kind of arrangement. But when you look at it keenly, Miriam, previously, we saw these UDA members of parliamentarians, when they go, especially in Kabuchai, we saw the ANC lead Senator Cleophas Malala, we saw other the likes of Nixon Koril, the MP for Langata, causing all manner of dramas, and the Susan Kihekas when we had a by-election in Nakuru. We saw all the kind of dramas that they caused. Therefore, maybe these are reasons why the IBC thought it fine and thought it's prudence to avoid having these politicians near this polling station. One, when these politicians come, they expect two kind of scenarios. One, they have those people who don't support them, and they might be agitated by their presence. And there are those guys who support them, and they might get overexcited and start following them around and causing some kind of commotion. That is not the situation that we want. Imagine if Moses Kuria goes to a polling station where maybe the Jubilee Party is dominance. People start thinking that he has come to bribe or to do some funny things. Also in the same scenario, expecting Gojiri Wambogo to go on a UDA popular polling station. Then things will not be well on his side, and even the supporters will not sit plenty watching someone who has been campaigning for their opponent around them. I think these are the reasons why IBC feel this is not the way to go, and this is a very good trend, because if we allow these politicians to come and manipulate votes in a peaceful process like we're having in Kiambaa, we end up having chaos, and we end up disrupting the voters, and to some extent, because of fear of their life, some of these voters might go home even without casting their votes, and that is not the situation we want. We want a democratic process where everyone will be given an equal and fair right to go and vote the candidate of their choice without intimidation, without blackmail, without any form of electoral malpractices, especially bribery. Because when you see what is going around, there are people who are giving the residents of Kiambaa some few coins, bribing them to vote for a candidate of their maybe who they feel is a candidate of their choice. That is not the situation that we want in Kiambaa. We want a process that is free, fair, and transparency. And we know what politicians can do. We know our politicians, how disciplined they are. And to some extent, they don't follow the rules that they set in Parliament. They just set rules, but they don't care to adhere to these guiding principles. Therefore, IBC there is a thumbs up. They have done an incredible job, and we expect any form of malpractices will be punished with the seriousness that is deserved. We don't want any form of malpractices to go unnoticed and to go unpunished. That is my on call for IBC this morning.
Okay, thank you so much. And of course, on Wednesday, that is yesterday, the IBC said it was ready to conduct the by-election and warned candidates they could be disqualified if they break election rules. So we'll see how that will work out. Samuel Tawish, good morning, if you can hear me.
Good morning once more, Miriam.
So what's the latest? Could you talk to us about the voter turnout so far? What have you noticed?
Well, Miriam, like I reported earlier on, of course, the voter turnout is significant in the sense that, like I reported earlier, of course, understanding that today being a weekday, most people could probably have gone to their workstations, and therefore makes it impossible for them to come here in big numbers. And traditionally also, you've understood that by-elections of this nature do not really attract so many voters because, again, you understand it's not a general election, and therefore interest might not be as big as it were for a general election, and therefore that's why we probably could be having somehow a low voter turnout. But again, I cannot authoritatively conclude that it's going to be a low voter turnout because, again, by closure of this voting exercise, say about 5 p.m. this evening, the IEBC will be in a position, of course, to tell us exactly the voter turnout and the percentage that you have had in this particular by-election. But as it is, of course, the numbers continue to grow. We've seen people continue to come here. They trickle in their numbers. There are significant queues, of course, lined up here just to make sure that their voice is heard through this particular exercise. I remember, like you mentioned earlier, Miriam, why is there so much interest, of course, on the United Democratic Alliance UDA candidate, John Njuguna Wanjiko, and of course pitting the Jubilee candidate on the other side, that is of course Kareri Njama. We understand there are about 8 contestants who are competing, of course, to get this particular seat in this particular by-election. But so much attention has been actually drawn to these two major parties, UDA that is being led by none other than Deputy President William Ruto. On the other hand, President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is the Jubilee party leader, of course, the president, and this being his home turf. Remember, President Uhuru Kenyatta reigns from Kiambaa County, and therefore he will stop at nothing really to try and back this seat. That's why you see this election has attracted so much attention, and not necessarily only here in Kiambaa constituency or Kiambaa County, but I am sure even the whole country really is watching how it's going to pan out eventually when the vote has been counted. Miriam.
And we know that the late Paul Koinange was a relative of President Uhuru Kenyatta. So should a different candidate, say from UDA, take that slot, what do you think that will mean to, will it be by any chance an indictment on President Uhuru Kenyatta himself, or what would that mean?
For sure, it will be a very big indictment on President Uhuru Kenyatta, and more so rather on his fame and popularity, not actually in the entire country, but significantly so because this is a place where he comes from. It is believed, of course, this is his home turf, his home ground. And therefore, we expect naturally that maybe he has a bigger backing of voters or following in this particular region. And therefore, if he's going to be beaten in this particular place or this particular by-election, Miriam, it's going to send a very strong signal that perhaps UDA as a party that is being led by his, of course, deputy president, it's getting its foot not only in Kiambaa, not only in larger central, but of course also gaining popularity and fame in the entire country. So that's why I reported earlier saying that President Uhuru Kenyatta and his allied lawmakers and supporters will do everything possible to make sure probably they are going to back this seat. Remember, we've had a period of campaign. People have been selling their policies, selling their manifestos, trying to move voters to their side. But of course, this is the ultimate time now, the hour of reckoning, where the voters are now going to make the decision on the ballot. So eventually, we are going to really see which side of the divide really made it possible to woo a significant number of voters to their side in this mini poll, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much. Douglas Kirimi, now Tharaka Nithi Senator Kindiki Kithure said the outcome of the two by-elections will be an indicator of who will control the Mount Kenya counties in the general election next year. Is it too early to make such predictions, having in mind the dynamics of our politics?
Miriam, being a politician like Professor Kithure Kindiki, I can authoritatively state that politics is very dynamic, and also the fluidity of politics is something that we cannot gainsay at this point, Miriam. When you look at it properly, Professor Kindiki was reporting from a different script, because Miriam, Kiambaa is a cosmopolitan constituency. This is not an indigenous constituency with indigenous people who have not gone outside of Kiambaa. This is a constituency where we have estates like Ruaka, where we have Gashie, where we have every other place where we have different people from different backgrounds and all that, without necessarily having to pay their regions of birth to Kiambaa constituency come from, work, live, and also do their businesses in. When you use such a cosmopolitan, almost 60% to 70% cosmopolitan constituency to be able to gauge who controls an indigenous Mount Kenya region, with the full of indigenous constituencies or indigenous peoples of Mount Kenya region. People that think that Kenya goes and stops at Mount Kenya. Miriam, the big assumption, and also the people of Mount Kenya from a cosmopolitan county constituency like Kiambaa, Miriam. The same goes for constituencies like Juja. The same goes for constituencies like Thika constituency. The same goes for constituencies Kiambu Township, and also the same goes for constituencies like Kabete and others, Miriam. So when you look at it, Professor Kithure Kindiki telling us that 2022 will be a different ball game, being determined from Kiambaa, it is not possible, Miriam. And also, I think from my perspective that Kiambaa is a different constituency. We are minus the indigenous peoples of Mount Kenya, where you can be able to judge and also give a conclusion. If it was in the Raka constituency where Professor Kindiki comes from, I would have said this is a direct indictment to 2022, Miriam. But using a cosmopolitan constituency where we have so many urban dwellers of my age, people who do not owe allegiance even to the Mount Kenya formation as it is. During elections, we are always told about Gema. We are always told about Mount Kenya when it is about elections. But when it's about service delivery, when it's about governance, when it's about what the people get from any successive government, the people are forgotten. So Miriam, using a cosmopolitan constituency to judge the indigenous people of Mount Kenya, people or constituencies or people that inhabit Mount Kenya region without necessarily having other brands, other tribes, other people from other places coming to those regions or those signs of Mount Kenya region. It is a false narrative and it is a false start. And actually, Miriam, hours after he had made that allegation, he came about with another one, saying that even if whatever way the Kiambaa constituency vote goes way, whether it goes to Jubilee or UDA, 2022 shall be determined by the people of Kenya and God. So Miriam, we have a professor who cannot be able to stand by his own facts or his own assumptions or his own allegations. Anything he that alleges must prove. Professor Kindiki should prove to us, the people of Kenya, especially Mount Kenya, how a cosmopolitan constituency, over 70%, Miriam, of the people who live in Kiambaa are not from Kiambaa originally, Miriam. Remember, there are also so many people, indigenous people of Kiambaa, who migrated to another Kiambaa in Eldoret, in USN Gishu, present day County, Miriam. So when you do that, Miriam, that is not proper analysis from the professor of law. He has filled himself. He was led by propaganda. He read himself, and also he sought to be confused with the political propaganda and the present day current allegations that he has made. Miriam, do not stand and do not hold water. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Javan Karanja. Tharaka Nithi Senator there saying that the outcome of this by-election would largely determine how the counties in Mount Kenya region will be voting next year and who will have control of the votes from Mount Kenya, from the Mount Kenya region. But Douglas has reminded us there that Kiambaa, some of the wards there or some of the places are quite cosmopolitan, like Ashie, like Ruaka there. So it's not necessarily the indigenous people who will be voting, but also outsiders. Will this make any difference as a factor?
Thank you, Miriam. And for a fact, this by-election is a big one because you see, even the attention that is garnered around the country shows clearly that this by-election is not just any other by-election. By the fact that Kiambaa is a what is this thing? Cosmopolitan.
I can help you out. It's cosmopolitan. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. That one. Okay. That means that we have a representation across the country. Therefore, this means if we can have a sample of all Kenyans maybe represented in Kiambaa, and we have a candidate of UDA winning, for example, that shows maybe to some extent there are some people outside Kiambaa, outside Mount Kenya region, who are resonating with the UDA narrative. Because we know the majority of Kiambaa residents are Mount Kenya people. Therefore, this by-election, Miriam, to some extent, it will set the pace for 2022 general election, but to achieve that, some things must remain constant. Because if some things change, like if the deputy president, if we have a candidate, a presidential candidate who can come in Mount Kenya region with the support maybe of President Uhuru Kenyatta, maybe with the support of the former prime minister, and he happens to get votes across, Miriam, then this UDA arithmetic will change. Therefore, and if Jubilee wins, that shows that Jubilee, the problem is Jubilee winning, maybe some things will remain constant, but UDA winning, that is when we might say there's some political arithmetic, there's some political happening that we might anticipate in future. But Jubilee winning, that shows that Jubilee will still remain dominant in Mount Kenya region as we head into 2022 general election. But if UDA wins, Miriam, that is where we might then start speculating things that maybe UDA might be the dominant party, might give Jubilee a run for their money as we head to 2022 general election, or maybe UDA might cut across maybe not only Mount Kenya region, but across the country. But Miriam, from my own perspective, I see this by-election maybe setting the pace, whether deputy president and his UDA party, whether they are popular. But Miriam, to achieve that, there's something we are underrating, maybe something that we are not laying into perspective, and that is the vote margin. Because if the winner takes maybe 40% and the second position guns around 36%, Miriam, that shows then we have a mixed reaction. Therefore, there's a lot of things that we'll deduce from this by-election. But for me, I can candidly hope that as we head to 2020 general election, some things might change. Jubilee might win, but they might form an alliance or a coalition with other parties with like-minded opinion shapers. Thank you.
Thank you. Samuel, do you agree with what Tharaka Nithi Senator has said, that the winner of this by-election, whichever party that gets to clinch this by-election, will determine largely how they control the rich Mount Kenya votes come next year's election?
Thank you once more, Miriam, and of course the panelists who are making analysis of this particular by-election right there in studio. Miriam, remember in the run-up to this particular by-election, you've had leaders, of course, politicians allied to Deputy President William Ruto, who are running in this particular by-election under the UDA, United Democratic Alliance Party, that is being led by Deputy President William Ruto, coming out and saying the win or victory in this particular by-election is going to be a launching pad in as far as 2022 presidential election is concerned. And for President Uhuru Kenyatta on the other side, I think it is an opportunity for him to cement his, of course, strong or his presence and fame and following in this particular region, not only in Kiambaa, Kiambu, but the larger central Kenya region, Miriam. So I think that is the perspective with which observers are actually looking into this particular by-election. And that is why you see none of these two major parties, UDA and Jubilee, are taking anything to chance in as far as actually winning this seat is concerned. Remember, some of the politicians on a UDA, those who are supporting the UDA candidate, did come out and say it's going to be a do or die for them, especially in this by-election, that a win for them will actually be sending a very strong signal to their opponents, and in this case, Jubilee, that they're losing grip rather in the larger central Kenya region. And therefore, I do not think President Uhuru Kenyatta, having lost the previous by-election, the just concluded by-election in Juja constituency, will not actually take anything to chance in as far as making sure that they can capture this seat. Remember, this seat fell vacant after the demise of the MP for this particular area, Honorable Paul Koinange. and of course, he was a strong supporter of President Uhuru Kenyatta, strong supporter of the Jubilee Party, and he was also the chairperson of the Security Committee in the National Assembly. That essentially means that President Uhuru Kenyatta may not necessarily want this seat to go outside his Jubilee Party, and that is why you see the stakes are too high in this particular by-election. And remember also there's that other mini poll in Muguga ward where a similar by-election is taking place, of course, that is in Kabete constituency, and already pitting the same major parties, UDA and Jubilee Party. So by the end of the day, we'll be able to really tell which of the major political parties, UDA and Jubilee, would have made it really to persuade the voters if it's about launching really what comes out as a serious presidential bid in 2022, or will President Uhuru Kenyatta be attempting yet again to cement his stronghold in this particular region of central Kenya, Miriam?
Mm-hmm. All right, and we know that in the last few hours, Jubilee and UDA have been trading accusations and counter-accusations over claims that each of the parties was planning to rig the elections. Tawish, I know you are on the ground. Have you seen any signs of anything that could look like elections is being compromised?
Well, Miriam, you know, politics by nature is full of propaganda, is full of speculation, and many times you'll notice that the opponents or the competing sides normally like trading accusations and counter-accusation in as far as these elections are concerned. So you can't quite authoritatively report that maybe there are any incidences of malpractices or vote rigging or even compromising the voters in as far as this exercise is concerned. As far as I know, ever since we came here, I've not heard of such information that perhaps maybe there's bribing of voters or there's an attempt to try and coerce, intimidate voters in any part of this particular constituency, save for that minor incident that happened with the Amos Kimunya, of course, the majority leader in the National Assembly. But so far, from where I'm reporting to you, right from Karuri High School, there's no such incidents that has come to our attention, Miriam.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Douglas Kirimi. Should Jubilee win, retain this seat, what will that mean to President Uhuru Kenyatta and, of course, the Jubilee Party and the future of Jubilee Party? Because there has been, some narratives from politicians, especially the ones who used to be in Jubilee who left, who said that, Jubilee is a dead party as far as they know.
Miriam, the dynamics that inform a by-election are very different from the main political contest, general elections and all that. And Miriam, we can only speculate and tell what is going to happen of Jubilee Party. Jubilee Party is not dead, Miriam. The president has not resigned. He was elected on Jubilee Party. And also, Miriam, there is also another factor that we should be able to accommodate in our analysis. We should be able to accommodate the issue of getting the president out of the matrix of by-election, and also thinking that a by-election is going to be able to shake the president, Miriam. Even in the USA, Miriam, presidents win general elections, and when midterm elections come, they lose majority in both houses or in one of the houses, or lose as right majority in both houses, and or they can retain Miriam. So when a president's party or a ruling party loses a by-election, it's not an indictment that this party has lost its popularity or the party is dead. If the party is dead, the Meru Governor Kiraitu Murungi is elected on a Jubilee ticket. If he says that the party is dead, like he has been alluding on newspapers, he should resign so that we can go for a governorship election here in Meru. We can test his political mettle. And also for those people who are telling us Jubilee is dead, and they are elected on Jubilee ticket like Rigathi Gachagua and Ndende Nyoro, Alice Wahome, and all that. Alice Wahome actually assaulted an IBC official in the last general election. So, Miriam, we are dealing with a bunch of hypocrites and the people who don't believe in a proper political process. And according to the bylaws that govern and act that govern the registrar of political parties' operations and activities, they have said before that, Miriam, for you to be able to propagate ideas of UDA or any other party, you have to be deemed by law to have ceased to become a member of Jubilee Party. The party that they are calling dead, Miriam, they continue carrying its banner in National Assembly. They continue carrying their banner. When they are dispensing their mandate, they are dispensing their mandate as people elected on a Jubilee ticket. The party that they are calling dead. The party that we are calling dead today, Miriam, I'm not included, that has been alleged dead by other people, my party, Jubilee Party of Kenya, which I am a member. This is a party that has a ruling president, a president who has not gone to retire. Members of county assemblies across the nation, members of National Assembly, and the senators in this country, Governors Miriam, all their regions, Jubilee Party of Kenya, that sponsored them to parliament. We cannot be able to authoritatively say that Jubilee is dead today. Because Miriam, how can we call Jubilee dead and Jubilee Party is not dead?
All right,
Miriam.
we apologize for that. What you're hearing are live images, and maybe we'll have that. Tawish, if you can hear me. Right, maybe you just mute, but just bring us those images. Yeah, those are live images from Kiambaa, where they're having their by-elections there today, replacing Paul Koinange, who passed on earlier on in the year. And so that is what you're seeing, and that is what we are covering this morning. Douglas, I don't know if you had completed your...
Yes, Miriam, let me conclude my point.
Yes.
What I'm saying is, Miriam, the future of Jubilee Party is strong as other parties. Remember, the party that is being pitted against Jubilee Party of Kenya is not even ODM, the biggest party in Africa. It's not ANC, it's not KANU, it's UDA, without a single member of parliament in National Assembly, National Senate, and also county assemblies. Miriam, I think they have one member or two. I think it is one. They won the London seat, and also they have two members of county assemblies, Miriam. This is a small party with members who are Jubilee Party members and members who are sponsored to parliament using the Jubilee ticket, who are masquerading as bona fide members of UDA. Miriam, a time has come after we are done with Kiambaa. The president should crack the whip. Listen to the National Management Committee of Jubilee Party of Kenya and they crack the whip. Dede Nyoro should do a by-election in his own constituency under UDA and win, so that they can be able to follow the footpaths of patriots like the Honorable Raila Odinga, who I think in 1995, when he resigned from his own party, Miriam, and went on to campaign on another party and won his seat back and his dignity back. For us to be able to stop talking and discussing and analyzing the conduct of people like Dede Nyoro, Rigathi Gachagua of Madera, Aris Waome, Susan Keka, the senator for Nakuru, and all Kindiki of Tharaka Nithi, Senator Mithika Linturi of Meru, and other governors who are hiding behind the UDA banner. Miriam, a time has come for us to be able to crack the whip as the Jubilee Party of Kenya and chase them out of the dead party. You cannot keep wiping a dead horse. Why are they telling us Jubilee Party is dead? The future of Jubilee Party is strong, Miriam. I have seen the party being revamped, and also the party has been able to clean its ranks in Parliament, National Assembly, and also pushing the agenda from their own party and quarters. They are cleaning their party, Miriam, and this is a strong party. You cannot tell us, Miriam, the future of a ruling party is bleak. It is not only bright, it is shining bright, Miriam, because if Jubilee Party clears itself of the mess that is UDA members who are masquerading, Jubilee members who are masquerading as UDA members, the future of Jubilee Party is shining bright like a diamond, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, Javen, let's look at a scenario where, because we know there are some like Deputy President during the interview that we were talking about here yesterday that he had with Radio Kiambaa, one of the leading radio stations here in the country, and he said that he is, on his way to UDA party, and we've seen even a lot of members of parliament allied to him pledging allegiance to UDA party. But as it is right now, they're still in Jubilee. Matter of fact, they still give their monthly remittance for the running of Jubilee party. So now, should they perhaps win, will that hasten their exit from Jubilee party? And if they lose, will that make them go back to the drawing board and perhaps change their mind if at all they even want to join UD or not? What do you think will be the scenario should they win or lose?
Yeah, Miriam, is a very good question, because we have members of parliament who are paying allegiance to the UDA party, especially the deputy president and Mount Kenya Tangatanga MPs led by Moses Kuria and Rigathi Gachagua, who still insist that they want to, that their heart is in UDA, but their body is in Jubilee, Miriam. This kind of rhetoric These are retrogressive kind of politics, because you cannot be stepping at two sides at the same time. You cannot cook two pots and expect good results at the end of the day. Therefore, it's high time, because the people in UDA, the people purporting to be in UDA because they are still in Jubilee, they are pushing the people of Kiambaa to elect the first UDA member of parliament in the whole country. Because even them, those guys who are campaigning for John Jogona Wanjiku of UDA, the UDA candidate in Kiambaa, they are still in Jubilee. And if they are men enough, and if they mean what they say, they should resign from Jubilee and seek new mandate from their constituents with a new outfit, with a new body, with a new house they call UDA, so that we can see whether they can have the popularity. Because it is high time as a country we walk the talk and we mean what we say, especially from our political elite and political players. Therefore, as we head to this, that is a point. What I'm trying to say is to portray the hypocrisy that we have in the UDA party. Therefore, if they happen to lose in Kiambaa and Mogoga, that will show that they are not dominant, they are not popular, and maybe they will go back to the drawing board and try to restructure ways on how they can maybe come back to Jubilee, or how they can come up with a new outfit, because that is what they do best. They keep coming up with new parties. Maybe they'll abandon UDA and go and revamp the same UDA with different colors, new names, and so on, and try to come around together to see whether they can get new support. But if that doesn't work, maybe I see them going back to Jubilee Party to try and see maybe what they can do better, or whether they can mend the fences with the Jubilee leadership, maybe to accommodate them and give them a last chance, maybe to remain in Jubilee Party. To me, that is what I see, because this politics, especially for the deputy president, this is a key parliamentary by-election. This is a key notable arithmetic and a numeric kind of a strength that he is trying to measure whether he has in Mount Kenya region, to see how he can do better, or what he can do to ensure that maybe he gets the votes in Mount Kenya region. But as it is stand, a win for Jubilee means that President Uhuru Kenyatta is still dominant. Jubilee is still the party, and you'll see people now having trust in Jubilee. The same Jubilee that we were saying is dead. They will say, maybe they will see that Jubilee was not dead. It was just sleeping. And Miriam, you know, when a lion is rained on, Miriam, we will not say it is dead. It is just rained on. But when it wakes from the slumber, Miriam, it can roar and everyone will disappear to the nearest a safe place. Okay. Therefore, maybe Jubilee this time round will be the lion that was rained on, and maybe we expect it to roar in Kiambaa and to send a signal across the country that Jubilee is still the dominant political party in Mount Kenya region. I submit. Okay,
Jevan. Samuel Tawish, your thoughts? The same question I asked Jevan there. Win or loss for UDA party? What would that mean? Will we see a quick exit by some of the members who have said that they are planning to leave, or are we likely to see some hesitation in others, maybe perhaps forced to go back to the drawing board and rethink other political moves, especially from Mount Kenya region?
Thank you once more, Miriam. I think, like I reported earlier, Miriam, this is going to be a battle for titans, Miriam, and that is why you see the major political parties are not taking anything to chance in as far as making sure that they win this particular seat, especially between President Uhuru Kenyatta on the other hand and Deputy President William Ruto. So in itself, once one of or either of the side really loses in this particular by-election, means that they have to go back to the drawing board, Miriam, to see how they can make a new strategy altogether and how they are going to approach the 2022 general election, Miriam. There's so much interest in this particular by-election, like you've seen the other observers and panelists making observation and assessment of what the ramification or the outcome of this election is really going to portend, and not necessarily for the people of Kiambaa constituency or the larger Kiambu County, but central Kenya as a voting bloc, and generally also by extension the entire country. Remember, President Uhuru Kenyatta will be exiting power as president next year when his second term really comes to an end. But he's also very keen on galvanizing support in as far as determining how his succession is going to be framed. And therefore, that is why you see he's using this as a yardstick, rather as a benchmark towards moving into 2022, and also in formations of major coalitions as we head into 2022. Remember, Jubilee Party has already hinted or is working on a formula or how they are going to work together alongside the Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, and other political parties so that they can form one formidable movement ahead of 2022 general election to face off with that of Deputy President William Ruto, UDA. And if at all, he will equally be forming another coalition with other political parties in the country, Miriam. So in itself, essentially, whoever is going to win this election will be a very major boost for his popularity and fame in this particular region. And for Deputy President William Ruto, it will be having more impetus on him as a person who is making inroads and gaining fame and popularity in this particular region, a region that is actually perceived to be President Uhuru Kenyatta's stronghold or backyard, if you may, Miriam.
Okay. All right. There's a very interesting opinion piece here by political analyst Javas Bigambo on page 5 of the Star. Let me just read a bit of it so that you tell me what you think, what you make of it. And he's saying the Kiambaa by-election seems to be a wake-up call for Jubilee Party. The ruling party has in the past not shown seriousness in by-elections, but in Kiambaa, the party has realized that the grassroots must be mobilized. The party faithful must go out to vote in large numbers. Reality must have dawned on Jubilee that they are slowly losing the plot, and that by continually losing by-elections as we head into the 2022 general election, they might lose some ground. What do you make of that analysis from Bigambo? Douglas?
Miriam, I've said that the dynamics of a by-election are very different from what we are.
I apologize. We do have a problem with your reception is not very good, Douglas. Can you hear me? Good morning.
Can you hear me, Miriam, properly now? Good morning. I can hear you, Miriam.
All right. Go ahead. I think now I can hear you. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
The arithmetic of a by-election are very different, but also for Jubilee Party of Kenya to wake up now, Miriam, and also hit the ground running, and also show the people that the party is not dead. The people that have always claimed that this party is dead, Miriam, are still clinging on the straws of Jubilee Party of Kenya. And also, Miriam, how can you propose as a party like ODM propose, and also other parties propose to form a coalition with a party that is going to die? When President Kibaki was leaving power, people tried the PNU Alliance, and also went on to form the famous APK, the Alliance Party of Kenya, which was actually the PNU Alliance of your times. So before we come to the conclusion that this was a wake-up call for Jubilee Party, we should know that Jubilee Party is the ruling party. There is a lot of young blood in Jubilee Party. The president is also young. The president is not interested in killing Jubilee Party. The president was interested in rooting out the people who are not loyal to the cause of Jubilee Party. And the president was following the law. The law says if you propagate the ideas and also activities of another party, you are deemed to have ceased to become a member of that party automatically. Mm-hmm. So, Miriam, when we look at it properly, it's not actually a wake-up call. You cannot wake up a ruling party, Miriam. It is the party that is dispensing the mandate across the nation. The party who is and has been defending its seat in these by-elections, and we can also agree that internal structures of the party are defeated the party before, even in a show that they have been able to put up in these by-elections, Miriam. It is the party internal mechanisms that have not been working for these by-elections. We cannot say it is a wake-up call for Jubilee. You cannot wake up a ruling party, Miriam. This is a party that has fought to the nail to be in power for over 9 years, Miriam. So the analysis by Bigambo cannot be able to make sense because you cannot wake up someone that is already in their land, already tearing their own land, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Sam also wish Javas Bigambo, I'm sure you're familiar, and he's saying that this Kiambaa by-election seems to be a wake-up call, and he's saying perhaps in the previous by-elections that we've seen Jubilee Party suffer many losses. Maybe the party did not carry out vigorous campaigns that were far-reaching compared to the opponents. That's why Jubilee, lost. But on this one, they're saying Jubilee must have pulled out all its, guns and has been on the ground and has really campaigned. So maybe this will make a difference. As he's saying now, the Jubilee Party seems to have woken up. But, Douglas, they're saying, Jubilee has been awake all this time. What do you make of Bigambaa's comments?
Well, Miriam, to a large extent, I will subscribe to that particular, of course, observation by one Javas Bigambaa, in the sense that, what happened in Juja by-election last time and Ruri Ward, if I'm not very wrong, I think Jubilee Party had really gone into slumber, and that is why you see the other opponents really managed to scoop those particular two sensitive and most crucial seats in the larger central region. And like Javas Bigambaa has put it, I think it was a wake-up call indeed, and that is why you see the kind of renewed effort and spirit, and also the kind of resources that the Jubilee Party, that is the ruling party, has really put into this particular by-election. In itself really tells you that this is no mean election. This is a very major election that has so much significance and importance to Jubilee Party and President Uhuru Kenyatta. Remember, even in the run-up to this particular by-election today, President Uhuru Kenyatta actually invited even the contestants on a Jubilee ticket really to State House just to show the solidarity and demonstrate to Jubilee supporters that is indeed in support of these Jubilee candidates. And the same cannot be said of what happened in Juja constituency and Ruri Ward. So in itself, really, I think I share the reasoning and sentiments by Javas Bigambaa that this election really means so much to President Uhuru Kenyatta. Sometimes I will even say that more than even Deputy President William Ruto himself, because each of the two parties really are saying that they want to send a very strong message to the opponent. And the outcome of this election really is going to be a benchmark, rather a yardstick for either of the two competing political parties, especially in this particular region. Remember also a handful of lawmakers drawn from these particular constituencies, that is MP for Kikuyu Kimani Ichung'wah is supporting the UDA candidate, and also we have, of course, Moses Kuria of Gatundu, Alice Wahome of Kandara, and of course we have Ndini Nyoro of Kiharu, and other, of course, politicians from this region who are on the side of Deputy President William Ruto. Not forgetting also that there are a handful of politicians, including the governor of this particular county, that is Nyoro, who is supporting the Jubilee candidate alongside other parliamentarians who are elected on a Jubilee ticket and continue to subscribe to the Jubilee ideology and to President Uhuru Kenyatta. So essentially, Miriam, I would say it is quite a divide that you cannot determine how the outcome of this election is going to pan out. But eventually, when the vote has been cast, has been counted, we'll be able to tell what is the voice of the people in Kiambaa today.
Okay. So political analyst Macharia Munene said the election is so serious for the president and it will have a direct impact on his political grip of the Mount Kenya politics. These two by-elections are extremely important to the president. That is why he has taken it seriously. For the president and his team, they have to win. Failure to which they will have no face. That is according to Macharia Munene. So apparently even President Uhuru Kenyatta's face is on the line here. So that means more pressure on President Kenyatta. But also, Javan, if we can recall the past few losses that Jubilee has suffered, a lot of it from analysts that we've had speak on it have said largely was contributed to the candidate Jubilee Party decided to pick. I don't know if this time round they picked the right person for the win.
Miriam, I agree. Jubilee has made mistakes previously, especially in Juja and Ruri Ward in Nyandarua, where they went for unpopular candidates and candidates who didn't have a big stake on the ground and who are quite unfamiliar with the political terrain of these areas. That is why we saw in Juja maybe Susan Wakape losing with maybe not bad, but he was almost getting 30%. And the kind of campaign that the Jubilee did, they were not serious. And even the face that represented the Jubilee in Juja, you could not even know who was leading the Jubilee team in that particular region. But I think they waked up from the slumber, and now they went for a popular candidate in Kiambaa, and they ensured that they have mechanisms. They have put a rigorous campaign to ensure that they secure this seat on their side, because we know for a fact the late Paul Koinange was a very staunch member of Jubilee, and he ensured that all the registrations that were in favor of the government, he ensured that he enacted, and they were passed in time. And especially when he was the chair of National Security Committee, he really came up with a very good registrations and bills that some of them members of parliament are still working on. Therefore, maybe these are some of the reasons why Jubilee feel they need to have the numerical strength in parliament. They need to have the numerical strength even at the county levels to ensure that if they have a law that they need to pass, then it can be done without so much a struggle and strain. Because especially when you look at, for example, when we had the BBI bill amendment discussed in our parliament, and eventually our members of parliament casting their vote in favor or in not support of the document, we saw how the Jubilee under the NASA maybe brigade really got the numbers. That is maybe the kind of thing that the Jubilee want. As we head to 2022 general election, I know there will be laws that to be enacted. There are some laws that need to be passed, especially the electoral laws that need to be amended, that need to be looked at. Therefore, this means that the Jubilee needs the strength. That is why they are concentrating more to have or to retain these members of parliament on their side. But also, Miriam, we saw also in the part of ODM, if I can have a comparison, in Musambweni, they went for a candidate who was not quite popular, and they lost it early in the morning. But we saw ODM now rectifying the mess, and when they went for the Kisii by-election that was in Bonchari, they really got the votes with quite ease, because maybe they went for the popular candidate. Therefore, we make mistakes in life, and everybody is prone to make mistake. But the best we can do is to learn from the mistake that we make, so that we can position ourselves for victory and success ahead. Therefore, maybe that is what Jubilee has done. And Miriam, everyone knows, Miriam, who follows these politics, that Jubilee has done what it takes, and they have done a very good campaign. They have come up with a team, the youth, and everyone was represented, and they carried out a rigorous and timely and well-organized campaign. Therefore, meaning that they worked from the slabber and have said that Jubilee has not been dead. It has just been maybe the few party officials maybe who have not been advising the party machineries on how they can run their affairs in the right way. Therefore, I see the Jubilee and has waked up. And Miriam, as we move on, we might see a Jubilee also. Maybe those people who anticipated that Jubilee will die as we head to 2022 general election, this might be the surprise card that Jubilee will remain here until when maybe we will decide otherwise. I submit.
Okay, thank you. I was just going through the list of the candidates who are participating in this Kiambaa by-election, and I have not seen a name of any candidate under PEP, the outfit led by Gatundu North Member of Parliament Moses Kuria, which went to win the Juja by-elections. They should have rolled on that win and perhaps filed for a candidate in this by-election. I do think, Kuria chose not to have a candidate run this time round in Kiambaa. Douglas.
Miriam, Moses Kuria does not own the People's Empowerment Party. He is only the face of that party, and that party is working for William Ruto. So they take instructions from Karen. That's why you see even the UDA banner, sometimes they have Rigathi Gachagua on the banner, sometimes they have Moses Kuria, sometimes they have William Ruto. They are all working together for a common goal. And we saw what Moses Kuria did to Raymond Kuria, a man that was alleged to be his cousin who was running for Kiambaa MP seat. They all forced that man to be able to step down for a UDA candidate. And that is the greatest problem that as candidates who have been trooping to the People's Empowerment Party and the UDA, people should be wary of parties that are allied to William Ruto, because these are kind of dictatorial tendencies of calling people to step down in the favor of a UDA candidate should not be tolerated in a democracy. People should be able to compete based on the basis of their ideas, based on their ideologies, based on their development agenda, and also their governance issues. how they plan to govern those particular wards, constituencies, and also counties, Miriam, not based on who wants to step down for who and who William Ruto wants and who Moses Kuria can take to the highest bidder who is giving a lot of money, which is William Ruto. So Miriam, for democracy to grow, for us to permit democracy to grow, we need to be able to come together and allow the people of this country to have their way. And the way of the people is none other than going to a party and that party sponsoring you to run for office without necessarily having to contest with the issue of being told to step down for any other candidate. What Moses Kuria did, he sold the candidature of Raymond Kuria, a man who ran on People's Empowerment Party, to the highest bidder, William Ruto, and they made money of the same. This is a person that promises the future of this country. These are leaders that should be relegated to the back and be sent to the backbench, because the future of this country, Miriam, is a future that is permitted by democracy, a future where we fill our lives with democratic tendencies, and we can be able to fight for political space using different parties or using independent candidacy to be able to build our future and also a country that we can be able to count on. Another thing, Miriam, that I wish to talk about as far as this Kiambaa by-election is concerned, is that as William Ruto flexes muscles on President Uhuru Kenyatta, he should be informed by this fact that by-elections do not count mostly for what is going to happen in a general election, Miriam, because even midterm elections in the developed democracies like America and any other place in the world, we have seen midterm elections or by-elections do not count a lot, Miriam. Even those people that will win these by-elections should not be assured of a direct ticket to parliament in the coming election, Miriam. So for William Ruto, as we invest in fighting your boss is also investing in other strategies to be able to show his own political might. Because Miriam, in politics is a matter of who has your interest. If you have no my interest, I have to discard you, even if you're my brother. Even if you're my brother or friend or sister, I have to discard you for a person with my interest. My enemies yesterday should be my friends today for a better tomorrow. My enemies tomorrow would be my friends for a better future, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. There's a story here I read when I was going through the headlines earlier on. I think I want to see what really is going on here shortly before we take a break. On the Daily Nation, the front pages there, it says a fresh storm as IEBC revisits referendum. The commission has stoked controversy with a public notice on a tender for the supply of election materials, including referendum result declaration forms. This has angered BBI critics who accused the Commission of acting in bad faith. Let's just see what Chebukati is up to. The story is on page 5 of the Daily Nation. All right, so the Electoral Commission has stoked controversy with a public notice on a tender for the supply of election materials, including referendum result declaration forms, while the invitation to tender for ballot papers, among other poll materials, is a routine undertaking coming a year to the next elections. The reference to referendum staff has raised eyebrows given the pending Building Bridges Initiative appeal. The High Court, which nullified the BBI process, hence scuttling a referendum fronted by President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga's allies, restrained Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission from any preparations on the plebiscite. Although the pro-BBI camp has since appealed against the ruling, the order is yet to be lifted. Yesterday, in a paid-up advert in the daily newspapers, IEBC invited interested firms to submit bids for the printing and delivery of referendum results declaration forms to be used at the constituency, county, and national tallying centers. Tawish, what is going on? Samuel Savish. Okay, Karanja, it's even.
Yeah, thank you very much, Miriam. And I'm one of the Kenyans who saw that advert. And for me, it was a good feeling because I see maybe the IBC, I think, because Miriam, we know this BBI that we are talking about, the procedural requirement was followed to the letter. And those people who feel like we are having an ambiguous process, they should rethink, because Miriam, what I understand and what the constitution requires is that the procedure to be followed to the letter, and to ensure that the sovereign powers of this constitution belongs to the people of Kenya. And we can do that through a referendum, so that we can give the people of Kenya a chance to decide or to have a fate with their destiny by maybe voting for this document or shutting it down. Therefore, when the IBC comes with this kind of thing, and this time round, I do not think it was the usual typographical mistake that they keep saying happens in their systems. But I think, Miriam, as we wait for the decision, for the ruling from the court on August, I think IBC, being the key referee in this process, they need to be preparing adequately for any outcome, because we don't want IBC to be shocked if the courts gives a go ahead for a referendum and maybe they didn't prepare adequately. I think this is just preparing in future, preparing in advance to ensure maybe whatever happens with the outcome, maybe they are ready to go for these referendums. I think this is a signal. These are just telling Kenyans that we are ready for anything. We are ready for a referendum. We are ready for 2022 general election, and we are putting in mechanisms and structures to ensure that we guarantee Kenyans' credibility and transparency in these elections. I think that is what the IBC is literally telling Kenyans, that there's no need to worry. If there is a referendum, we are ready for it. I think, to me, that is what it means, because, Miriam, and the Constitution is a living document, and the living documents need growth and development. And for us human beings to grow, we eat and we do exercise and we do all other things that ensure that we grow. And for this constitution to grow, what we do, the input that it takes, the kind of nutrition and diet that we can put for this constitution to grow is amending it and just having amendments that will make it better. I think that is the only way we can grow the constitution. And that is what we are doing, Miriam. And from 1963, as I conclude, to 1990, the independence constitution was amended to almost 30 times, Miriam. Under this, the 2010 constitution, we are with it for 10 years. And we are doing the first amendment, Miriam. This is quite fair. We need more of these amendments so that we can have a constitution that works for the people and ensure that all Kenyans are protected by this law. All Kenyans, especially the marginalized, have a say. And everyone in this country, we streamline our politics, and we have a shared prosperity. We fight corruption so that we can have a country where everyone will be proud to belong. I think that is what BBI seeks to bring, is a remedy for long-term challenges that have been bedefiling this country. Therefore, if we can, IBC is ready for referendum and the courts give a go-ahead, Miriam, we know we are just remaining with one procedural requirement to have the amendment, to call the amendment a success, and that is a referendum, because everything else, the collection of signatures, the verification, and everything else has been done. We are only remaining with one setback, and that is the court ruling. And after that, Miriam, if we have a go-ahead, Miriam, then tutasema hallelujah. Thank you.
All right. And I do understand where you're coming from, Chairman Karanja, but the problem with that, with the IEBC getting ready for a possible referendum and all that, the problem with that, which already some lawyers have already raised questions about, is that IEBC had petitioned the Court of Appeal, which only waived the order that the Commission could not function because it lacked a quorum, but barred it from preparing for a referendum. Waliambiwa, those by-elections you can carry out, but for a referendum specifically, they were barred from preparing from anything that has to do with the referendum here. Are we likely to see another legal tussle? Samuel Tabish.
Miriam, in itself, I think the decision by the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission to announce bids or tenders for the making of the ballot papers for the referendum is not actually a finality in itself. Understanding that these particular tenders are supposed to be submitted at maximum on the 15th of next month, that it will be in August. And we also understand that the Court of Appeal will be making a ruling as far as the referendum quest is concerned. And therefore, Miriam, I think what IEBC is doing being is to make sure that they are not caught flat foot like in the past. You've seen sometimes that the courts actually even rule that they declare an election null and void, or they declare that an election is not going to be held, only for another court, of course, again to lift that very particular ban. And so IEBC sometimes does not want to be caught, of course, to be caught off by time. That is why they're moving in with speed to make sure that they're just putting in place measures to ensure that they're not caught flat-foot in as far as preparation for this referendum is concerned, Miriam. Remember, the tendering process is quite a meticulous and a tedious process that doesn't just happen overnight. It's something that could take months, really, for the tender process really to take shape. And therefore, by August 20th, when the Court of Appeal will finally be making a ruling on the BBI appeal, it will give IEBC an ample time really to decide whether there will be this referendum or not at all. Therefore, I think they are just in the right form to make preparations early enough in as far as this referendum is concerned. But in itself, of course, they've not gone ahead to award the tenders. I think it is just basically announcing the tenders for the interested bidders really to place their tenders in the making of the ballot papers for referendum and, of course, the 2022 general election, Miriam. So I think they're just trying to seal loopholes and make sure that they have made enough preparation, if at all there will be that eventuality that Kenyans will be going to a referendum, assuming that the Court of Appeal is going to rule in favor of the appeal that was placed by the BBI Secretariat, Miriam.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Samuel Tarish, who, by the way, is coming to us live from Kiambaa. Can you remind us, Samuel, where you're stationed right now, the polling station you are?
Well, Miriam, I am actually at Karuri High School in Kiambaa constituency here in Kiambu County. We understand that we have about 96,000 registered voters in this particular constituency, and we also have about 150 polling stations, of course, spread across the constituency, and the voters, of course, are already taking part in this exercise. Like I told you, the numbers continue to build up, not so much, but again, it's a sizable number of voters continue to stream in here just to make sure that they cast their ballot. But again, maybe things are going to change as as the day matures. Probably we are going to see increased numbers. Maybe there are some people who have gone to work briefly and maybe come to vote. We are here to see if that is going to be the case. But ultimately, this is a defining moment for the people of Kiambaa to determine who is going to be their next MP, and consequently, of course, filling in the gap that has been left by the late MP, immediate former MP, Honorable John Paul Njoroge, I beg your pardon. Right. Paul Koinanga, I beg your pardon.
All right, thank you so much. And of course, thank you for giving us that statistics, around 154 polling stations and just slightly over 96,000 registered voters. It will be interesting to see the voter turnout there, the percentage of the registered voters who will turn out to vote today. Douglas, as we conclude the show, your thoughts on IEBC referendum tender, which is now raising eyebrows because the court barred it from preparing for a referendum. But IEBC, from what it advertised yesterday, it advertised for material that will include the referendum result declaration forms. Douglas?
I'm having a problem with my connection.
All right.
Can you kindly repeat the question?
All right. Maybe you just do audio. I'm saying the IEBC preparing for a referendum, and yet the court barred it from preparing anything to do with the referendum. But from the advertisement yesterday, it included referendum result declaration forms.
Thank you, Miriam. For IBC to prepare for a referendum, it is also a testament that the will of the people cannot be subverted by anything, including the IBC itself. Because, Miriam, we have come from too far for us to be able to let an organization like IBC subvert the will of the people. When IBC keeps saying that they are technically not prepared to be able to handle the general election or any other thing, the court goes out there and declares that IBC is not properly constituted and bars the IBC from conducting a referendum, and then IBC goes out of its way to be able to announce a tendering process for the referendum materials. Miriam, at this point, Kenyans should be able to be prepared that without reforms at IBC, without reforms at the Electoral Commission of Kenya, we are not ready for a better Kenya, for a united Kenya, and a prosperous future for our children and posterity. Why? Because IBC keeps contradicting itself. IBC keeps contradicting and giving various false stats across this nation. Why is IBC doing these things, Miriam? When IBC was telling us that they are not technically prepared, they were blocking a possibility of a by-election in this not by-election, a referendum in this country. And when now IBC knows that it is barred by the courts from conducting a referendum, IBC goes out there and offers a tender for the referendum materials. What this shows is contempt for the people and the will of the people of Kenya. IBC should be told that the will of Kenya cannot be pre-existed by IBC or any other sarcasm that comes from IBC or its chairman, Wafula Chebukati. Miriam, I continue calling for a total overhaul of IBC, remove of IBC chairman, Wafula Chebukati, and also a total reform at IBC. Miriam, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Douglas Kirimi, Javan Karanja. Samuel Tawish, I don't know, before we just leave, maybe a quick question there. The flowing in of the voters there, is it steady or how is it? The turnout, has it increased?
Thank you so much, Miriam. Thank you so much, Miriam, for that question. Like I said, the numbers of voters really streaming in here is steady and keeps on growing every elapsing minute. Earlier on, when we began, of course, when the voting stations were opened up, the numbers were not as what we are witnessing now. That in itself tells you that as the day goes by, then we are likely going to get more voters or more people coming really to cast their ballot in this particular by-election. Miriam, I've seen the numbers continue to grow significantly. But again, like I reported earlier, being a weekday, we understand some people could have gone to their workstations probably for work, and that in itself makes it difficult for every other registered voter, that is the 96,000 registered voters in this particular constituency, to turn up and cast their ballot in this particular mini poll. But again, I think there's so much interest, there's so much excitement in this election. Those who are competing and those, even the candidates, could have done their ground so well. I can see the numbers continue to grow every other elapsing minute, Miriam.
All right, thank you so much. And I will be linking with you later on in the day so that you bring us the latest there. Samuel Tawish at Karuri High School in Kiambaa constituency, who are today going on with their by-election after the death of their former Member of Parliament, Mr. Koinange. Thank you. This has been the People's Court and exclusive coverage of the Kiambaa by-elections. My name is Miriam Ogutu. A very good morning to you.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.